Hello everybody, my name is Daulton Nelson and today I'd like to give my thoughts on a game I just beat. That game being Flock for the PC. Flock is a puzzle game developed by Proper Games and published by Capcom. As you may know, I am a fan of a few YouTube channels. One series of videos I loved watching back when I had more time to do so was the Rage Quit series on the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know the premise of Rage Quit, the host, Michael, will humorously scream while playing a game in a very profane way, often vocalizing his displeasure for what he's playing. This was my introduction to Flock, a puzzle game about a UFO herding animals to its mothership. I've known about the existence of Flock for many years, but didn't pick it up until it went on sale for a dirt cheap price a few years ago. Ever since then, I have been reluctant to play it due to my introduction of it and its premise, but after playing through the game, I can say that I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed the software. Flock is a very simple game to understand. You play as a UFO, with a visible circular tractor beam below it. Throughout the game, you'll use this to herd animals in the level to your mothership, the Mother Flocker. But that is easier said than done. In the middle of the livestock and your mothership's location will normally be some obstacles that you'll have to deal with along the way. Your UFO itself is very easy to control. You move it with a click of the mouse, setting a point of where it will move to. As the game goes on, things get more complicated with more elaborate obstacles, abilities being added to your UFO, and the sheer variety of ideas Proper Games puts on display here. The development team really put a lot of ideas and effort into this game. Each level would offer a new mechanic to toy with, thus Flock never felt stale for me. For example, while sheep are placed firmly on the packaging here, as the game goes on, cows, pigs, and chickens are introduced, and with their introductions also come different properties for each animal, and thus you have to take that into account when playing through a given level. Your UFO will also gain the ability to pick things up and squish things, and objects like fences and hay bales keep evolving the puzzles further and further. Speaking of which, Flock has a great progression to it, with the difficulty ramping up ever so slightly with each level. And as you continue to knock out each of the 55 short levels in the game, you'll start to notice the seasons changing and the music becoming more relaxed and subdued. The soundtrack, by the way, I like a lot. It features these podunk, twangy string instruments like sunburnt guitars and banjos, mixed with what I think is a theremin or some sort of synthesizer, which calls to both the alien and farm livestock presence so prominent in the game. On top of that, the game's look is extremely welcoming, with warm and luscious greens and oranges, and soft whites later on, once the game gets to its winter aesthetics. Meanwhile, all the models in the game are made to look patched up, like a quilt or fabric-based plaything, giving the game a toy-like feeling to it. But looks can be deceiving at times. While I don't feel strongly about this, I do concede that the lack of accurate feeling control can lead to Flock becoming hard to deal with at times. I could never quite predict which direction my animals would go, I just kinda had to guess. And meanwhile, your UFO would change its height depending on the terrain, which could cause some problems if you were hauling something toward its destination, or trying to accurately line up your beam circle. This is especially true with a few levels that came off to me as definite stinkers, like the level where you have to pick up fences and use them as bridges to have animals move across gaps. This specific mechanic is especially frustrating, taking into account the game's physics and the uneven terrain of the levels. I also didn't care for an early stage that wraps around itself, where you need to shrink your sheep with water, and then circle them back around in time for them to fit under the fences. Otherwise your sheep will grow back and you'll have to guide them through the whole level over again. There were also a few gimmick levels towards the end of the game that I didn't really care for, like a bowling level, a pachinko level, and a Rube Goldberg machine. Although I will also say that these moments are few and far between. For the most part, Flock offers some engaging puzzles with plenty of variety to go around, and replayability with things like the map editor, the reward medals based on time, and the perfect abduction medals. So I'm thinking about giving Flock a final score of a 7 out of 10. Ultimately, I'm glad I played through Flock and enjoyed it as much as I did. It looks like this game went under the radar for many, so hopefully this review has convinced you to pick up this engaging puzzle game. That concludes my review of Flock. If you like my reviews, you can like, comment, or subscribe. I also have my social media links, my Backloggd account, and my online portfolio for you to view down in the description below. And with that out of the way, please make sure to have a nice day.